57 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason, and we're moving on to the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Tulsa, a team that did make a bowl game last year, but is losing a lot of talent from that team a season ago. This is a Tulsa team that is going to need to rework some things here this year, in my opinion at least, to try to get back to the bowl season, but they're absolutely a player for it. Tulsa's going to be hanging around that bowl season mark, trying to find that sixth win in 2022. My question to the Tulsa Golden Hurricane and their fan base: can Tulsa find their way to get back into another bowl game in 2022, or will this be a year where Tulsa maybe misses out on the postseason? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite teams. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. For fans of the Golden Hurricane out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot more than me, just how that works. If you guys feel like I missed something, you want to add something, anything like that, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to read what you guys have to say. So let's talk about Tulsa in 2022. This is my 8th ranked team in the American Athletic Conference coming into the 2022 college football season. Tulsa is a team that, again, did make a bowl game last year. We're 7-6 overall, 5-3 in conference. This was a really, really solid team a season ago. On the offensive side of things, this was a pretty good offense in terms of gaining the ball. Now, they gained around 442 yards per game, which is pretty good, but they only scored 26 points per game. So they were gaining yards. They just were not punching it into the end zone, a problem that Tulsa may have again in 2022. When you look at the defensive end, it was a solid defense overall, 379 yards per game with around 27 points per game. The main thing for Tulsa was scoring points. They were getting yards. They were getting yards just fine. If Tulsa would have scored more points, kind of somewhere in the 30-31 range, this team could have won 8 games last year. That's just my opinion at least. Get that scoring number up, and I think Tulsa should be a much better team. Only problem, they're losing a lot of talent this year on this Golden Hurricane team. So let's go ahead and look at some of the talent that is leaving this team. And there are a lot of bigger names leaving this Tulsa team, including running back Shamari Brooks. He was the leading rusher last year, had 1,029 yards and 7 touchdowns on 218 attempts. Really good season for Brooks. Was a 1,000-yard rusher, was a huge part of the success success that Tulsa had last year. You lose him. You also lose a 1,000-yard receiver in Josh Johnson, 1,114 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is gone, as well as Sam Crawford, who had 472 yards and 4 touchdowns last year. So you lose 2 guys right there off of the wide receiver position that were just really good for you last year. And then, of course, Shamari Brooks, you lose him. He is gone as well. Those are just big losses, period, for this Tulsa team. When you look elsewhere, 3 offensive linemen gone off this team. And defensively, Tyrese Stevenson is gone off this team. Stevenson had a solid year last year, had 26 tackles. Colin Wick, you also see him gone as well, had 24 tackles and 2 sacks. And then Jackson Player is also gone off of this team. He had 50 tackles, 5 sacks a season ago. In my opinion, was their best defensive lineman from last year, and you lose him. On the linebacking side, you lose Johan Burnett, who was your second leading tackler last year with 81 of them. And then defensive backs, Trevon Fuller, Tyneil Martin, you lose both of them, gone as well. So there's a lot of talent leaving this Golden Hurricane team, a lot of leaders offensively, a lot of leaders defensively. They're going to need to find some guys who can fill in for that leadership role. But they don't have to find a guy for this role, the quarterback play, Davis Brin. I think he is going to be a big reason why Tulsa may or may not have a successful season this year. Listen to this stat line: 3,254 yards and 18 touchdowns. You might think, okay, hey, that's pretty solid. He threw 16 interceptions a season ago. Youch, that was up there for the most in FBS. If not, it probably was the most in the entire nation. He's got to cut back on that number. That's a reason why, look, Tulsa was gaining a lot of yards last year. They just weren't punching it in. The interception numbers is why right there. Davis Brin has got to clean it up in 2022 if Tulsa's going to want to get back into the postseason. You have a couple running backs coming back, Anthony Watkins, Deneric Pierce coming back. They combined have over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. So should be a little bit of a running back duo there for this Golden Hurricane team. When you look at the wide receiver position, Juan Carlos Santana had 674 yards, 3 touchdowns, was your second leading receiver a season ago. You also have Keelan Stokes coming back as well. So he returns for this team. And also Isaiah Epps is the transfer coming in at the tight end position. It looks like they're going to end up moving him to the wide receiver position, kind of taking him away from the tight end, moving him into that wide receiver position, but was listed as a tight end in the portal. Of course, that's what he played at his old school. When you look defensively, Anthony Goodlow, you have him coming back on the defensive line, had 6 sacks a season ago. That led the team. Linebackers, Grant Sawyer, Justin Wright, you have them coming back for you. Justin Wright was the leading tackler last year with 82 of them, 3.5 sacks, and a pick 6. So pretty good stuff there. And the defensive backs, Tyon Davis, Bryson Powers, Jay-Z Oliver, and Kendarian Ray. You have all those guys returning for you as well. Davis, 10 passes defended last year. But again, they very well may have lost their best defensive back in Trayvon Fuller. Had 9 passes defended, 3 interceptions a season ago. A really good season for Trayvon Fuller. Tyon Davis probably going to be that guy to help step up, although Bryson Powers pretty good. Kendarian Ray. There's a lot of pieces to like on this team, but there is a lot of that experience gone as well. And a lot of their better playmakers on the offensive end gone. Taking a look at the schedule, and to couple that, it's a hard schedule for Tulsa. You got to go on the road to play Wyoming. Never a team that you can take lightly. I know they're losing a lot of talent. Xavier Valladay is gone, along with some other pieces there. Isaiah Nayer, the wide receiver, is gone. Pieces that helped make Wyoming a dangerous team, right? I still think that this is a Wyoming team that can be dangerous in 2022. If all the pieces can fit, I think Wyoming can be a force to be reckoned with. Then you get the MAC champions at home in Northern Illinois. Then you stay at home and you got to play Jacksonville State. Going on the road to play a Power 5 team in Ole Miss there on the schedule as well. When you look in conference play, home games against Cincinnati, SMU, Tulane, and South Florida. And you got to go on the road to play Navy, Temple, Memphis, and Houston. So let's go ahead and dive on in to this Tulsa schedule. You got Wyoming here again. I feel like that's going to be a very, very tough game for this Tulsa Hurricane team. Yes, they are losing a lot. Tulsa is losing Wyoming is losing a lot of talent. They are losing the running back, losing the wide receiver. That helped make that attack so special last year, right? Well, this is still a Wyoming team. Again, I said it before that I feel like can be dangerous and will be dangerous. So that's kind of a game you got to watch out for. At home against the MAC champions, they're losing a lot off that team. I still happen to think that Northern Illinois is going to be a pretty solid football team this year. Watch out for that one. That one could go either way for me. Jacksonville State, that game doesn't necessarily interest me, although they will be moving up to Division I in a couple of years, if not next year. So watch out for that move. And then Ole Miss there as well. Going on the road to play Ole Miss, a very, very tough environment against a team that could have been one of the biggest winners of the transfer portal this offseason. That is an extremely hard game, probably the hardest game that Tulsa has here on the schedule. When you look in conference play, you have to play Cincinnati and Houston. Common story with a lot of the teams I'm covering early in the American Athletic. That very well could be your conference championship game right there again with Cincinnati and Houston. Those are two teams that are very, very good. And two teams that, again, can push for a spot in a New Year's Six bowl game. Going to be two tough games, as well as at home against SMU, on the road against Memphis. Those are going to be some tough games there as well. But Tulsa got a lot of 50-50 balls in conference play. I think Navy, Temple, Tulane, South Florida, a lot of those you can just kind of throw up in the air, although South Florida might be able to have a shot to win that one there that you have it at home. I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based. Alex, tell me predict the team's record if the game is in red. Just don't see a win in the game. If the game is in orange, I still don't see you winning, but hey, it is college football and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50, your high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball. And games in green, I have you winning. So games in green here. I think you should be able to beat Jacksonville State, so there's one win on the board. But notice there's no other green color here. Tulsa's going to have to fight for victories this upcoming season. I don't see them beating Ole Miss on the road. There's too much talent on that Ole Miss team, in my opinion. I think Ole Miss is going to be able to win that one. Same thing with Houston. Houston's got a lot coming back this year. I don't think that Tulsa's going to have a very fun time in Houston. I think that one, Tulsa is going to struggle. When you look across the rest of the games here, again, that game against Wyoming on the road, that game normally, in my opinion, would be in yellow, but going on the road, having to play in that road environment, does elevate it to does lower it, I guess, however you want to look at it, to an orange for me. I know they're losing Valladay. I know they're losing Nair. Lots of other guys gone off that Wyoming team. But again, I still feel like they're going to be dangerous. Tulsa cannot take that team lightly. That's going to be a tough, tough game. I'm favoring them slightly against Northern Illinois here at home, although I do feel like that is going to be a very, very close and hard-fought game. When you look in conference play, beating Cincinnati is going to be tough. Beating SMU is going to be tough. Beating Memphis on the road is going to be tough. But there are a lot of games here in conference that Tulsa should be favored in. Navy, I would figure they'd be favored in that one. Temple, same thing there. At home against Tulane. That one could go either way. That's a true 50-50 game for me. I really like both teams. And at the end of the day, that could be the game right there that decides who goes to a bowl game and who doesn't go to a bowl game. Then you got the home game against South Florida, which you could put in yellow-green, although I feel like South Florida has made a lot of improvements through the transfer portal this year. All in all, when you look up and down this Tulsa team, there's a lot of good talent. But a lot of this season is going to rely on Davis Brin, right? How good does Davis Brin play in 2022? I feel like that is the big overarching question for this Golden Hurricane team. He cannot throw 16 interceptions again and expect this team to be right back where they were last year in contention for a spot in bowl game season. But he has good weapons with Santana, Stokes, Epps there as well. Watkins, Prince can be a solid running back duo. Defensively, there's some good talent there as well. But Tulsa's going to have to fight. And Tulsa's going to have to try to pull out some wins that maybe people shouldn't think they win. And I think at the end of the day, Tulsa comes up just short of making that coveted bowl game. I have them at 5-7 in 2022. Definitely not what Tulsa fans are going to want to hear. I realize that. But losing Brooks, losing Johnson, losing Crawford, losing some of those guys on the defensive side as well, I think are too much of a hit to this Tulsa team. And all in all, I do think that this schedule is pretty tough. They got some tough non-conference games, some tough in-conference games. It's not impossible to find 6 wins here. In fact, I can find 7. That's why it's my best case scenario. But I do think that it's going to be hard for the Golden Hurricane to move on into bowl season. I got them at 5-7 in 2022. Let me know what you guys think about the Hurricane in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Anything you can really does help support the channel. And remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.